I didn't know that. All right, I'm a loser.
Also, weirdly, my response in Discord didn't show up.
I know. I noticed that actually. Now that I bring it up,
If you
Am I shadow banned
all
from
right,
Restream?
no,
Or
here's
is it the replies don't work?
if you reply in Discord to another comment, it does not get relayed through
but if you
the
make a new
Restream
comment,
chat bot.
it will. Okay.
Yes.
So no
So
reply.
there's a catch to the bot.
No reply me, bro.
It sounds like the bot code needs to be updated.
Yeah, I need AI on this immediately. Oh, don't. So nothing happened, and there's blood in the streets in Las Vegas. Mainly IT streets.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Well, the only thing I saw was that somebody stole money from Mark Cuban.
What? They got money from Mark Cuban
That's just
too?
called
Yeah.
Shark Tank 2.0.
Yeah, it's all part of the experiment.
It's fake money though, so I guess it doesn't count.
Stealing money from billionaires is something I just don't find newsworthy. Isn't that the whole point? Like, isn't that the CTF of life is how to steal
The
money?
CTF of life is getting money from people.
It's
I know,
called
it's like
IPO. It's not that hard.
Yes.
They lose money, and I'm like, oh, how sad for you. But
I
and
did.
sometimes with these, there's broader implications. So
I wonder
know-
if someone is truly working on the whole idea of billionaire traps. It's like, I mean, there was that company with the submarine that worked pretty well.
No, yeah, that was the plan the whole time. It seems a little self-centered.
Yeah.
There's Virgin Galactic, another good one.
Yeah. I think it's interesting with all these attacks recently. Lots of data is going to be appearing online, Corey. Terabyte.
Well, maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Yeah.
As someone who's been following it for years, I sometimes it pops up, sometimes it doesn't. You never know.
Sometimes only Troy Hunt gets the data.
If I go through the list of data breaches I have, which is in the many hundreds or thousands, I would say a decent chunk of them never arise. Like the one that I want the most that has never showed up is the Microsoft Blue Bleed one or whatever, where someone like dumped like terabytes of Microsoft data off of an unprotected bucket. Like that one I want.
Yeah, it's like this is like your hacker dump wish list that you.
Yes, I have a wish list. The blue bleed or whatever we want to call it. That one's definitely.
Please, you should honestly. It would be an amazing blog, like the wish list of dumps that you just never.
That would be a fun blog.
The dump list.
Yeah.
I know they got hacked. I just never.
I know they got hacked. Where did this data go? Who is just sitting on this? Right.
I will say though,
crocodile of Wall Street type shit.
Going through the CLOP data though, it's been kind of depressing. It's like sometimes it's like, oh, this is good. Other times it's like, this is just sad. I should delete this.
Corey, we might need a webcast just on that data.
Oh, I will. I'm working through the data. It's like it's too soon to say. I mean, I got to go through. I've got some high profile ones to go through. Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh,
I mean, that's got to be on there.
Do not look at the loyalty program in my name. All right, I've got way too much. Right? I have a kid. He loves to go there, and we just put it all under my name.
Likely story. What you should have said is, I have a whole Boy Scout troop all going under my account or something, based on the activity we saw.
Whatever.
It's a lot of background noise in the podcast. Are you at Chuck E. Cheese right now? No.
No. I'm winning these tokens. Actually, funny story. I took my son to Chuck E. Cheese. It was a little while ago, and they got rid of like the tickets that come out of the machine. So now it's just like
a card, like Dave & Buster's.
Yeah, it's like a just a card you tap.
That's such a buzzkill. I feel like as a kid, the only fun part was the tickets.
Yes. The tickets have to like spill down and
I know.
Otherwise, I was like, this isn't that fun even for me.
I know, and also like you did well when like you got enough tickets that they had to weigh them. Like they couldn't just
weigh them.
It's like with the Walt. It's like from Breaking Bad where they're like, I don't know how to even count how much money this is. Do we weigh it?
That's why I learned the secret. I put quarters on some of those, dude. I kill it when they weigh them.
Welcome to Talking About Arcades.
Yeah. How to win more gumballs at Chuck E. Cheese's.
Yeah, Ralph was there for 3 hours and all he got was a gumball.
Literally, I'm not kidding. They're like, it'll be like 700 tickets or whatever, which is like an hour of my kid playing. It's like a little like bouncy ball. It's like 2 cents or something. It's
Let me guess. Are we talking about hacking casinos here?
yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about Chuck E. Cheese.
We're trying.
Big casinos.
We were avoiding casinos because that's where you lose all your money.
You got to start them young. That's what Chuck E. Cheese is all about. Get kids on that gambling addiction early.
They got to ride that high. You never leave when you're on a bender. You know what I mean?
Never once.
Mm-mm.
So are we live? Are we going?
Oh
We're
yeah,
live, but we have not.
We were waiting for
officially
you
started.
out of respect. We don't want to get fired.
It's
primarily out of respect. I mean,
that's going to be the thing that gets you fired. How dare you start without me? I have no idea. I'm coming into this like completely cold from training. So
there's a lot. There's a lot. Vegas is definitely in there. The U.S. government lost an airplane, which I think is kind of funny because it's not like security related, but it like is in like some like government security.
All right. Well, I'm letting you
physical
drive
security.
today, Ralph.
All right, I got you. I got a couple.
All right,
we ready to
let's kick it
start?
off, Alan.
Cool.
Roll the finger.
Welcome to Black Hills Information Security, talking about the news. I'm your host today, Ralph May. We have a ton of good news. Well, bad news if you're from Las Vegas. We've got Vegas. Everyone got hacked in Vegas, and your data might be exposed. The U.S.
What happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas?
Yeah, I know, right? The U.S. government lost an F-35.
Maybe that's where the data went.
Apple releases a 0-day fix for older iPhones, right? Going back into the future. And a bunch of other news. And I am joined by a amazing cast. We have Mike, who honestly could be a second host at this point because you're always here. So that's welcome. You've done it. We have Alex as well. We have Ryan, who makes us look great. And then we have Popcorn Man. I think his name is Corey, but we'll just let that go.
Just call me Ham Hawks.
Ham Hawk. Oh. Ham Hawk. Delicious. And then we have John, our illustrious leader, who employs us so that we all get to talk to you. So thank you, John. And finally, we have Ian, who is a licensed AI reproduction of Ian. And that is pretty fun. Pretty fun. How much did that cost?
Oh, I mean, it didn't cost me anything except for I had to sell all my likeness rights to Time Warner. I mean,
do you know what movies they're going to put
me?
you in? Like, is that part of it? Do they tell you what movies?
They didn't. They didn't. And specifically, they put in a clause that said that I couldn't ask, which I thought was weird.
Did they do a lot of scans below the belt or no?
How did you know that?
Well, when they did mine, there was a lot of like leg stuff. I'm assuming I'm just going to be like in lots of leg related movies, nothing else.
They said it was going to be something related to perineum sunning training, and I don't know what that is.
Wait. We're 2 minutes in, 3 minutes in. Okay.
So okay.
I haven't been
You know
on
what,
it. I
Ian,
forgot how
Ian,
this
let's take this to the next level. Let's meet up in Vegas. Okay, I'm gonna book you a room at the MGM Resorts. And wait, I just went to their website and
is it still down? Is it still down?
I don't know. No, I don't. Maybe.
I have to look out of just concern for the fact that the ransomware must.
It is not still down. Unfortunately, they did not do the just under construction 1995 page, but it was like it was down for a while. It just said, "We apologize for any inconvenience. Call us." Like that's how bad it was.
Yes.
Yeah. The actual news here is that MGM is experiencing a cybersecurity incident.
Oh, they experienced a real incident, like a
we
real
have
incident.
We have some information that Wade sent us. So if it's wrong, then blame Wade. You can find him at Wading Through Logs on Discord. Basically, this is a statement on GitHub. I'll link it. It's that Bushido UK file, but basically, it's setting the record straight. Apparently, they say that they didn't deploy any ransomware. They opted to take down their own infrastructure after finding out that we were, quote unquote, lurking on their Okta agent server, sniffing passwords of people whose passwords couldn't be cracked from their domain controller. essentially they locked Okta willingly.
Willing.
Then that caused massive outage. That was the point at which they targeted ESXi with ransomware.
Wait. So they didn't deploy ransomware in the beginning, and then they deployed ransomware after? So there was ransomware going on? Is that
Yes.
Yeah,
They
ransomware
got
was
caught with
going
their
on.
pants
These
down.
hackers would just make up their minds. Like,
Well, they got mad. Like it was.
Yeah, they got mad.
Yeah, I got
They
you.
were trying to negotiate, and then they saw people jump into their chat, kind of idle for an hour, and then leave, and then come back, idle for an hour, then leave. Eventually, they're like, "Hey, are you gonna actually say anything?" And then the person left, and then they took down Okta, which locked MGM out, and the attackers were still in there, and they're like, "Okay, screw it, like it's ransomware time." So.
According
Yeah, I love
to
how Okta
them,
released an article today that was like, "Hey, everybody, yeah, they totally got hit with social engineering, and it had nothing to do with Okta at all. Not us, not our thing. We are not responsible."
We're not responsible for the disclosure of your
Which-
information.
Once again, totally don't blame Okta for doing that, right? Like, it makes me wonder if MGM and Caesar's Palace are on like the customer's website for Okta. I'm gonna go check that out real quick.
Well, yeah, I mean, that leads into the other story, which MGM's site was down, and we're like, oh, yeah, it's definitely ransomware, because they turned off everything, right? Now, usually in the response playbook, it's not turn off everything, okay? That's something that you can do when like you find someone in your environment, but usually you want to isolate, figure out what's going on, and then move from there, right? And they took the kind of unplug the internet from the wall technique, which I mean, effective,
It tried and true.
but as we all know, the reason why you normally don't unplug the wall from the internet is because this thing that they're running, MGM, they make money, and the way that they do that is with all those things that they just disconnected, right? So,
I will say though, if you're the admin and you're seeing them in your Okta environment harvesting the credentials of every person that logs in,
I hear you. But
I
what think is-
Oh my
mean,
god.
it gets better though. It gets better. So what I think is funny is whether they did the right thing or not. I mean, we could obviously debate for a while. But they ended up, I think it was like $13 million a day or something. That's like the lost revenue, at least. It could be even more than that. But what I thought was also
I read
really
35.
Yeah, it was something up there. But I thought was also really funny is as soon as this happens, I'm not funny for the people who are affected. As soon as it's like a day later, Caesar's like, yeah, we were attacked too. Out.
well, theirs was way older.
It was way older. It was at DEF CON. It was during the exact same time as DEF CON.
Yeah, but they didn't have the under construction page for their
Oh,
website.
so
because they paid.
Because they paid the ransom.
Yeah, they paid the ransom, which I was thinking, like, do you think they paid them in chips? Like, how do you think they paid it? Like, you have to come here to collect, come to Vegas?
They comped a suite and 4 drinks from the minibar.
Yeah.
Fucking millions of dollars. All right, I just posted something. The host posted it to a number of different channels. Thank you, Ryan, for doing that. So I can see now why Okta kind of had a post kind of separating themselves from MGM, because it looked like, and once again,
They were
totally
a
not
case
blaming
study.
Okta for this attack, right? Like, I'm totally not blaming Okta for this, right? Totally not Okta's fault as far as we know right now. Social engineering, Okta's 100% correct, but damn, there are 83 separate articles in marketing for Okta that's by MGM, right? MGM Resorts employees use Okta to log into their enterprise apps, building blocks for the ultimate guest experience at MGM.
Is there some about
Resorts.
security, about how they're
Yeah.
super secure?
Yeah, how
because of
we
Okta?
enhance security at MGM
Oh,
using
every one of them. Every one of them.
How
MGM
we
Resorts
secure
knew they
your
could do
environment.
identity
Zero
better.
trust for Hollywood. Whoopsie.
Oh my god! Look at these. I think they're streaming it. Yeah, like 86 articles. Like, was MGM getting Okta for free?
I don't know. See, that's why no matter what, it's not really free. You got to pay for it. All right.
You
Well,
got to.
so this is a great example. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like, you
Yeah.
know, yeah.
I want to take a step back though, because one of the document that we brought up out of GitHub that was from Wade Wright, I want everyone to be absolutely clear about what we're looking at. That is from the attackers, right?
Yeah, That's supposedly
Yeah, the attackers have great press
going
releases.
through and telling everyone their attack response plan or something like. This is the world we live in now. We're not getting just this is what happened from.
Well, MGM's not going to tell us.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to tell us.
MGM's not going to tell us.
Well, actually, hang on. MGM isn't going to tell us, but there was a ton of stuff coming out of both Caesars and MGM from their employees. And that's kind of an interesting point, is that you can have these communications response plans. You can have all this, statements of, look, only authorized individuals are allowed to talk to the media.
Yeah,
absolutely. Everybody's going to talk to the media. If you're impacted by this, and there should be, executive security teams that are looking at it and going, yeah, our employees are just going to just hop on Twitter and send some anonymous DMs to article writers, and they're all over the place. So yeah, MGM isn't disclosing everything, but you have all of these employees at MGM, Caesars, and probably in future incidents they're just going to state anything and everything.
Are you telling me that it's so good?
I kind of want to pull on this thread a little bit more. Like, the threat actors believed to be behind the last week's attack. They had to set the record straight. But apparently, they were in the Okta platform, Okta Agent, which is the lightweight client that connects to Active Directory. And then Alf on the leaked site said MGM made the hasty decision to shut down each and every one of their Okta sync servers after learning we had been lurking on their Okta Agent servers, sniffing passwords of people whose passwords couldn't be cracked from their domain controller hash dumps. This resulted in Okta being completely shut out. They also, the attackers' LV statement added that lurking around Okta for a day and scooping up the passwords, the threat group then launched ransomware attack at that point on September 11th after trying to get in touch with MGM.
Yeah, because they're like, hey, we got DA, we're in your network siphoning off all your passwords. Do you want to pay us now or do you want it to suck? And they were like, we want it to suck. And
we wanted to suck real bad.
Someone, the CSO did this. He said, do we have backups? All right, send it.
All right, so here we have this is the response from Okta. Okay, so the chief security officer, David Bradbury. The human part of this was simple. The subsequent part of the attack was far more complex. In recent weeks, multiple U.S.-based Okta customers have reported consistent pattern of social engineering attacks against their IT service desks, in which the caller's strategy was to convince the service desk personnel to reset all multi-factor authentication factors enrolled by highly privileged users. Okta then warned the attackers then leveraged their compromise to highly privileged Okta super user accounts to abuse legitimate identity federation features that enable them to impersonate users, right? So yeah, I mean, I agree with
this
Okta.
is not an Okta thing, because it feels like it was an Okta thing.
Dude, if they already had DC sync going into the Okta thing, I don't think they really needed, like, they already had like NTDS
at that point, right? And Okta is making an absolutely valid point. If your help desk will like totally get socially engineered to have some random person say, yeah, I'm domain administrator, I need to reset all my multi-factor authentication to this phone or this device, you're going to have a bad day.
I think this was an Okta attack. Here's what they did. They found out that, hey, with a little bit of social engineering, we can leverage anyone who has Okta and then, move up this chain, right? They already had some back knowledge of how to escalate through Okta, right? So all they needed to do to run this was to find a big customers using Okta, which we found 98 examples of why this might be a good choice. And then we target that organization, knowing that all we need to do is convince this one person. We don't convince everyone. Convince one person to do this. Yes, that one person. So what
do you mean elevate through Okta? They elevated through the help desk.
No. They got the help desk to initiate the elevation, right? And I get it. The help desk got them going, but why does the help desk have the ability to do that in the first place? And why
to remove MFA factors? Is that what you're saying?
Well, how did they get the highly privileged users? Why does
because that's just who they're targeting. They're just saying, "Hey, this is Bob, the admin. I lost my phone and I threw my computer in a ditch. So can you reset it?" I mean, I think you're misinterpreting how the attack played out. I could be wrong, but
well, you're saying that the attack played out.
Well, wait a minute. We're going off of what basically I think Black Cat said that they did, that they use social engineering.
Sure.
And Okta has kind of backed that up as well. So just wanted to clarify that. So there seems to be agreement that that's how they did it.
Yeah, we need to get the experts on the phone. Alf V. They clearly have great write-ups.
Well, go ahead.
I will say, based on how quality the write-up is, they're going to jail because they're in a Five Eyes. Like they have to be. like just based on how. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I mean. Essentially, the thing as an attacker sitting here reading this, I mean, obviously they're victim blaming right out of the gate, which is always a good look. They're like, well, it's your fault because your security sucks and you wouldn't pay the ransom. It's like beating someone up and then being like, well, it's your fault you got assaulted because you were not good at fighting.
If you're honestly though, if you're an Okta admin right now, you need to do two things. You need to put your LinkedIn on friends only. Right off the bat. And then you need to ask for a raise because honestly, these Okta admins are important people, and configuring Okta isn't the easiest thing out there. Right?
Hold on. It doesn't have to be an Okta admin. All it has to be, this essentially like the response.
Why does the help desk have the ability to remove a high-level administrator's multi-factor?
Okay, so that was the question that I had.
Response,
not for that reason. Is I want to know that help desk person. All I want to know is did they follow the procedures that they were allowed to do? I mean, seriously,
no, probably not.
No, but you say that. Maybe say that. But
okay. Let's
on the blue team side, right? Those Okta logs too.
We've got to have this conversation because it's super important. By the way, Okta has an absolutely fantastic article on stopping social engineering attacks. We're sharing it now. It's quite good. But going back to Ian's thing. All right. So most organizations, if you call them up, and we'll just kind of walk through this. Hi, my name is John Strand. My multi-factor, I've lost my phone, I've lost my token, whatever, right? What do companies do to validate the identity of the people that want to have a reset?
In my experience doing this, and we try this on our customers all the time,
I've done
and it's always a pain. And I know that our customers are secure because whatever, but so my experience is I can text you, I can call you, I can email you on whatever previous device you had. And I guarantee you, my theory, I don't guarantee you, the theory that I have is the reason these attackers succeed and we don't is because, first of all, they have egos the size of the moon. Number two, they are persistent and they will just keep calling. And being like, hey, it's Greg again. My multi-factor still isn't working. Whereas I'm like, all right, you got me. Good job.
You got me.
And also I do think that they're willing to push the boundaries more like, you don't understand. My wife just gave birth. We're heading to the hospital right now. And if I can't get to my work email, like
beat if we do that, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of organizations, instead of like the good stuff that you just talked about, they're going to say, okay, we got to verify some information. Yep. Can I get the last 4 of your social security? Can I get your mother's maiden name? Sure. Can I get the street you grew up on? That's all $5.
Right.
Yeah. And
the other $5.
No call, all of that. Gone, John. They'll call one time.
So I'm tying it back to what Ian said. I'm willing to bet the help desk person followed protocol and the Black Cat attackers had the information to answer those questions. Yeah. That's my
maybe. I mean, that's
we won't know.
Well, we might.
No, but I think
it's been recorded. They just won't share the recording. I would love to hear it, though.
Let's look at this from a blue team perspective. Let's look at it from a blue team perspective instead of the red, right? Okta logs everything, right? You can see who has what rights and when people get privileged to those type of rights. If someone with a password of that level, you can see them get the switch and see them get a new token. That should cause some type of, hey, what is that? This person does not get a token. This is DA level stuff, right? Yeah. DA level stuff is a critical alert that should be fired and checked on immediately.
I mean, I would say genuinely, like, there's a couple ways to approach it. Number one would be if you have a simple alert that says, if this alert fires to remove tokens, you just lock the account until you hear from the user. Like that is genuinely like one way to approach it is basically to say your job can't be that important. We're locking the account until we have proof of life from you, which by the way, this is funny because I actually today had to reset my Black Hills password because I don't know how to use password managers. I didn't save my updated password. Here's what I had to do. I had to send Black Hills a picture of myself with today's timestamp saying basically, well, this is what it said.
No,
I am
we got
stupid.
it. We got it, boys.
Sorry.
We got it.
By the
Go
way,
ahead and reset
You're
my
welcome.
password now. But
you're welcome.
basically, that is one way to do it. Is essentially proof of life, either voice, print, or however you want to do it. Essentially, and this is how a lot of incident response teams do it. They say, cut everything off, which I guess they went a little too far with that at MGM. Cut everything off until you get proof of life from the person. Where are you? Are you at an airport? Are you alive? Like, and then unlock the account or allow the access.
They all they needed to do when that call came in was, first of all, the help desk shouldn't have been able to redo it, and then second of all, like you said, Corey, just some proof of life. Maybe like you have to come in to do this because this is a domain account.
Or talk on the phone.
Yes, you have to come in
in
person. You have to. I just need to validate your identity for this thing.
I'm going to say this though, like having done lots of pen tests against casinos and dealing with them, there is a lot of, I don't want to say it's hubris, but there's a lot of this like people that work at casinos, like you get into like even mid-level management. There's a lot of, do you know who I am? I am the floor manager of the high stakes poker room.
Right.
And you deal with that shit all of the
So why do
time.
you have to
Talking
mean
to the
that?
security teams at these casinos, they're like, it's like the entitlement of doctors and hospitals times 10, right?
Yeah.
They're just unbelievable. They're pushy. Management, and many of them, not all of them, will always side on the people against the help desk. Help desk people are making, like, if they're lucky, $20 an hour.
Yeah.
So here you have somebody that's undertrained, underpaid, gets his ass kicked, gets yelled at constantly.
Yep.
And honestly, whenever you have that type of culture, like if you're your security team, the thing you should take from this, go spend a day in your help desk. Go spend a day answering phone calls, seeing how management handles people in the help desk. And if people treat your help desk like absolute garbage, they're getting like $15 to $20 an hour, and they have the ability to reset domain administrator level credentials, you're going to have a bad time as a company. And what's worse, you're probably going to deserve it. Like, not me personally, but the royal you is in the company.
I mean,
I
think,
well, and in second shot on this whole thing with proving you're alive with deep fakes, number one, that becomes a little bit more difficult depending upon how much they really want to get into it. But number two, even worse than deep fakes, how many of these help desk people honestly know what they are looking at and who they are looking at?
They don't.
I could easily hold up a picture or say that I am so and so. How do they know that that's my voice? Have they ever talked to me before?
Never.
Do they know me personally?
Never once. Never once.
Well,
This is why
so
face-to-face
PHIS starting it now. Like I think we're over like 110 employees or something. And most of the systems administrators are going to know like the core group of people that are on this call, what we look like, what we sound like, and things like that. But there are still people that show up on meetings and they start talking, and I'm the owner of the company, and I'm like, who
are you?
in the hell is this person? Right?
Yeah.
To that point, everyone thinks I work for you.
Wait.
Wade's like,
I work
I need
for
to
him
reset
also.
my account.
You just brought up a very, very good part of the finding out phase of this particular thing. Do you know who I am? So yeah, Lina Khan happens to be the head of a little organization called the Federal Trade Commission.
Oh dear God.
She was staying at MGM when this happened.
No.
Oh, what a good timing!
What a
right?
crit
Walked
fail.
up
That
to
was
the
a warning.
counter
Oh.
and said, "How are you protecting this data that you're writing down? Because your systems are down." The woman was
Oh
like,
my
"I don't," or the
God.
person that's there, I don't know who. it was.
They were just like panic.
I don't know, and it's like, oh, what a they're gonna absolutely head into the finding out phase
Oh
of
my
a
God.
Federal
Well,
Trade Commission
And
investigation.
honestly, like I keep coming back to it. I feel bad for Okta. I feel bad for MGM. And the thing that sucks the most about this is a lot of like the talking heads, much like the people on this show, who have opinions about these things. They're actively pointing out and laughing at MGM, and they're trying to laugh at Okta. This is not the exception, people. This is the goddamn rule in large organizations. Like, this is the way shit works. And I'm sorry to swear, this is a family show, kids. We're gonna get back to Teletubbies later.
I told her to stop calling me a Teletubby.
This is not the exception. Like, with the companies that we do continuous pen testing, a lot of those really good companies, they're not companies at the size of like MGM. Very large corporations, like if somebody is a massive company of 100,000 employees and they're like, we want to hire you to do a pen test, we're more than likely going to get in because vulnerabilities like this are not the exception. They are the rule. So don't laugh at this. I think you need to sit down and say, okay. Seriously, would this work in our organization?
I want to make one comparison, because I know we've talked about MGM a bunch and we've in Okta, but Caesars also got hacked at the same time, right? And they just paid the ransom, and they're like, well, you guys didn't really even know. We only told you guys because MGM was also getting hacked, or because actually they had a filing. They had a filing.
And is anybody sitting around going, oh my God, Caesars paid? I am ethically disappointed in Caesar's Palace.
But listen, they weren't handwriting down notes about people who were staying, and they weren't turning away guests because they didn't have a system and all this other stuff. Now, I'm not saying pay the ransom. I'm just saying these are two comparisons of two different things that happened, and they both got hacked.
And one is the one that we just spent the last half an hour talking about. The other one, we just brought it up. I think it was Batman Will brought it up and said, I don't know. Like, I'm really uncomfortable about paying the ransom, not paying the ransom. And I want to go around the horn. What do you think, folks? Pay the ransom or not?
Pay it.
I say
like the logical capitalist in me, right? Like logic, like how much is this going to cost me versus how much is it going to do it? Or like, am I going to go through these pains?
I think
that's the worst part.
It's the lamest answer on a podcast, but the truth is that it's a case-by-case decision depending on the access they have and depending on the data they stole. If they have a lot of access and they didn't steal that much data, then it's probably worth paying because really you just want to keep your servers up. If they stole all the data, then you probably don't want to pay it because they're going to disclose it either way, right? Like if it depends on whether it's extortion or whether it's access. It also depends on how good you are. Have you done disaster recovery? Clearly, Caesar's not so good.
I was going to say that
I don't care if you pay it. I don't care if you don't pay it. But if you judge people for paying, you're an a-hole.
Yeah.
Correct.
I was going to say a lot of it is going to depend upon what your backup and disaster recovery plan is.
Oh, no, absolutely.
You
and I think if companies think about it, right? If they think about it, then they're going to be in a better position when it happens. But you have companies like Caesars, you have companies that mom and pop, accounting firms and draft firms. People are like, well, they should never pay they're out of business.
Yeah.
Everything they have built for the past 15, 20, 30 years goes away just to make you feel good about your self-righteous, like judgmental attitude.
Okay, wait. So there's some good audience comments in here. So one person said, Brian said, Charik said, the org I work for paid the ransomware. I see more attack indicators 1 year there than I did in my subsequent 6 years combined. You're putting a target in your back. This is true. So this is a fun thing about, and it actually applies to fraud in general.
Yeah.
Once you are targeted successfully, you go straight to the top of the list to be targeted by everyone else. Everyone wants a crack at you. That is just how it works. And they all
that new HBO show that just came out.
They all share information. They all talk. Like if you answer the phone once for a scammer and even go 10% of the process, your phone number just got sold to a person for $100, and they're going to call you every day for the next month.
Now Elliot Ellsworth says something, and this is one that bugs the heck out of me because I've looked at a lot of these insurance policies. He says, never pay it, don't reward the criminals, make sure your insurance supports the process. 9 times out of 10, these insurance policies have a way of not paying out of anything because a lot of it tends to be lumped under nation state hacking.
Dude,
it's an act of God.
Mike, from your lips to God's ears, also remember we have had stories like, okay, everyone's talking about, insurance, that sounds good. There are a ton of insurance companies that are completely getting out of the water of cyber liability insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
They thought
And
it was
Florida.
Not even an option. And I also like to put it this way, like, especially for small businesses, right? You're like, there's people that are saying, well, you don't negotiate with terrorists. If your child was kidnapped, right? And all of a sudden people are like, yeah, they want $50,000, $100,000. Would you say, I don't negotiate with terrorists? No, you would be taking out an effing loan to get your child back.
Yeah, it's just
So
it's
really
like
easy for people to say these throwaway comments.
It's prohibition. It's totally prohibition.
But I've been with these companies. I've been with these business owners. I've been with them when they're broken down, and that it's really easy to say from far, far, far away. Like, don't.
No, I mean, again, like it's like abstinence or prohibition. It's like, just don't do the bad thing. Okay, what if I do? Oh crap, I didn't plan this far. Whoops.
One thing to take into account is these attackers are actually profiling your company to hit that sweet spot of how much money can we hit them, right? I'm pretty sure I just read an article about one of the ransomware operators taking a vote on how much you could go up or down on your initial stake that you told them, and then how much research you have to do depending on their ransomware insurance. And they're saying, should we hit this amount or should we give them wiggle room, and what should we do? They're going to make it so tempting for you to take that ransomware if they're doing that much research.
Because they know,
and and most of the time they are willing to talk to you about it.
Like, right? They know where that market line is, right? They absolutely know where that market line is.
Okay. This is such a good chat because I can tell in Discord where it just says several people are typing. The other thing I wanted to say is if you do pay the ransom, you need to set the rule that your security budget needs to double at least whatever you paid. Whatever, like, fine, pay the ransom, but next year your security budget better be at least what the ransom was, if not twice that.
Yeah, like, you don't take money from the security team to pay the ransom.
No, like you take pay the ransom, get your operations back up, and then invest that much or more in making it not happen again. Right, like that needs to be, because you will get hit again. You will
I have a statistic that's 100% true. 100% of organizations that got ransomware or got hacked spent more on computer security than they predicted this year. Like it's there's a lot of times, guys, we laugh, but there's times where we've pen tested companies and we're like, this is a critical, this is a high, this is a critical, this is a high, and they're like, we don't think that that's a critical, and you're like, okay. Why? Well, blah, 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 blah. This is what this compliance standard says. I'm like, we hacked you through it. Like, we don't think it's critical at all. And there's been times I've been on the phone with customers, and it's not all the time. I don't want to make it sound like a curmudgeon every time I talk to customers, but I've had a handful of customers, like 5, that have really pissed me off. And one of the things I love saying is, agree with me, don't agree with me. You hired me for my opinion, hired my testers for our opinion. This is what we're giving you. But one way or the other, the hackers will show you the error of your beliefs. And that is a beautiful thing. And for hackers everywhere, I thank you. Like, where it's like, I don't think this is critical. A week later, they get hacked. It's like, see? Right? Are you gonna get on the ransomware channel and argue with the attacker? It's like, I don't believe this is just critical how you got in here. Like, you had to socially engineer.
You guys cheated.
John, that's why they joined the chat, because they were actually typing a long thing about how this isn't critical.
How this is unfair.
Yeah. So okay,
coach. Thank you, hackers.
And on the note of thank you, hackers, one thing I want to say about this breach, which it might be the first time this has happened in recent years. This is one where if customers come to us and say, okay, we don't want to be the next MGM, what can we do? I'm like, actually, this is a very fun and interesting and helpful conversation. Unlike with Log4j, I'm like, I don't know, logs or something? Like, the answer is much harder with those 0 days. Like, if you're coming to me asking, how do we avoid being the next move it? I mean, I have some recommendations, but that's tough because 0 days are tough. This is a good conversation, right?
After the Equifax thing, we had tons of customers like, we don't want to be the next Equifax. And you talk about all the things that they should be doing, and they're like, yes. However, could you just come in and scan and see if we have Apache struts? Because we want to get that out of our environment.
Look, I'd like to agree with Corey, but I don't think it's true. We like how bad we're making fun of Okta right now, right? Because Okta's been the center of Okta. We're not blaming Okta. I get you, but they've been the center of several large attacks in the past couple of years, right? Just because misconfiguration or easy to pivot and
social
stuff like that, right?
Yeah, but dude, that's saying the road. Server. That's like saying the road is used for street racing. So
but what I'm saying is, like, if people don't want to be the next MGM, they're going to be the first thing is like, oh, is your Okta configured? Wasn't it? Who was the last one? I can't.
No, it wasn't Okta, dude. It was SE. But it does your help desk.
You're thinking the SE part.
Yeah,
okay,
dude. It wasn't Okta.
I was thinking the more of Okta part.
No, I mean, I don't know. I mean, who knows, right? We're reading a statement posted by the attackers, so
we obviously have.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
I honestly would love to agree with Corey's assessment on this one. The problem is, and what I see happening in that sort of a talk about the social engineering, is what we have going on with the fish testing nowadays, and people getting fired for falling for a fake fish.
Well, that's
the only way. That's the only way that I see these companies going down that path. Is you can say, well, we need to go ahead and educate them how not to be social engineered. Well, how do you do that without going ahead and having something behind it? And now we're back to the whole fish testing system.
I mean, that's fair, but I would say if you have a hostile relationship with your users, your security team's already failed anyway. Whether it's phishing testing, social engineering testing of your IT help desk, like. If people are afraid to come to you because you've created this negative feedback loop, then that's on you, and your security program is not going to work no matter what, because you're missing out on people wanting to have good faith and try to help you with your job, which as a security team is the only chance of you detecting half of this stuff. So, I mean, you're not wrong, but like even just the example of like take the users out of the equation. Let's look at the policies we have for our help desk. Do we allow the help desk people, do they even have the permissions to yank Okta tokens off of people's accounts? Step one. Step two, what things are, if that is required, then what things are available for them to be able to do that to validate the people? Like, you don't even have to bring the people into the room. You can just sit down and look at the policy, look at the scripts and say, or is this configured in a way that is reasonable? Or is it like the policy is, well, they have the permission, so it's up to their judgment. Or the other thing that I get, like, you got to enable your help desk. Like John was talking about how the help desk people are the downtrodden. That is true. Enable the IT people to be, first of all, the first line of defense against attackers. And second of all, the first line of suspicion of just being like, I don't know, like, I'm not necessarily saying that like his dog got thrown into a lake, so he really needs his MFA reset, but like maybe just someone go like figure out like
cat person.
Yeah. Hand this to the security team. If it feels suspicious to you, which is like actually how it works, is human intuition of like what is suspicious of like, well, you know, is this suspicious circumstances? Is it just like, and it should be up to the help desk team to hand that over to the security team or incident response and say, you go look, I'm going to go do 50 other calls because I'm a help desk worker. You go investigate this person's account. Where are they logging in from? What are they doing? What, you know, all that stuff. They switched from an iPhone in California to an Android in Belarus. I think we got a problem, you know? So
I'm going to take that a step further, though, because here's the thing, right? I've set up help desk processes at more companies than I care to explain or even say. But here's the thing. I deeply believe that someone failed those help desk folks, because what they should, and I think it kind of ties into what you're saying, is that anybody who called in and said, I'm this administrator, or didn't even say that, said, I'm this person, I lost my stuff, they shouldn't be able to reset a privileged account like that. It should immediately not allow them to do that and force it into an escalation to somebody else who's got more training or things like that. And the fact that they were even allowed to do that, that's where they failed the help desk folks. They didn't create a process that was a fail-safe. And I used to teach this in classes all the time, and the difference between a safety and a fail-safe. If your safety breaks, the gun still goes off. If a fail-safe breaks, it fails into a safe position that cannot do harm. And that's where the processes were breaking down when whoever designed this for that help desk, that's what they need to focus on.
Yeah, and keep in mind, it's not even just social engineering, it's also insider threat. If I'm a $20 a month help desk employee and I'm, you know, or an MSSP or whoever, and I can just privesk to DA. I mean, I don't have to be social engineered. I could just privesk to DA by yanking some tokens off an account, throwing mine on there, and now I'm DA. Congratulations, I got a raise. You know, like
that's where I make that. Like, I love users, right? Yeah, you're totally right. Users are our first defense, and I've gotten probably some of the best tips from the users. But I have been burned so many times by trusting a user that I would rather second guess them and put in those defenses and detections and preventions than ever trust a user again.
Yeah, and like Wade said,
that's probably my curmudgeon coming out, but like,
yeah, for sure. And like also Wade said is the whole tech logging side of things. Like, this is all great to have human procedures in social engineering, and that's a good defense for social engineering. But at the end of the day, you also have these alerts that trigger when someone yanks tokens off of a privileged account. That is an alert that can trigger 10 seconds later, and the security team can take, they don't know. They don't even know what the phone call is. They don't have any idea. They're just like, we're locking the account. What's going on?
I know those exact logs. That's the other crazy part is you can see people getting promoted to those particular roles that you think are critical and watch them. But there's some like tricky stuff behind there that if you don't have the flags flipped or you're not watching it for one thing in particular, it could get past you. And I think, honestly, that's something I haven't ever heard where an attacker, well, I have heard attackers and I've seen people attack Okta, but I don't think that's something normally a blue team can test, at least a lot. They can go in and change stuff, but it's not something that gets tested frequently. And you should, if you're listening to this, you probably should go do that. Go promote someone to God mode and then see what type of flags get flown.
Well, so, and yeah, I mean, basically this is, why we are in security as the good guys, because we can test this stuff, we can have these conversations, and we can improve things. We've spent 45 minutes talking about MGM, so we should.
Yeah, we can talk about some other stuff.
Some other stuff happened.
Let's turn left.
Honestly, it was a lot of breaches this week, right? And more ransomware, but we can we can move a little bit to the right. Did you guys hear about the F-35 that went missing?
Yeah. I absolutely.
Wait, was that what the noise I heard?
I was just
the U.S. Marines trying to find the F-35 that's gone missing. So it's an American flag with crayon scribble all over.
So it's just kind of a funny, not totally tech, so kind of a little break, but so F-35 had a mishap. And the plane crashed. Okay, so the pilot got out.
These don't have GPS tracking.
Yeah, listen, dude. This is a $65 million, $80 million aircraft.
$80 million
aircraft. Okay,
$80 million. The prices you're going.
He ejected. He's safe. Everything's. He's fine. But the aircraft is missing. They just can't find it. I don't understand.
I love how they're just asking the public if you have any information about the whereabouts of our
whereabouts. There's a wanted sign on milk cartons already.
Should we
call
it?
I feel like this poor pilot is probably like, as God is my witness, I thought that plane was going to crash. Like, well, it didn't. It effing didn't. You left the plane. The plane kept going. Like, what did you see? Did you see a Chick-fil-A and you just had to get there? Like,
so I will say,
aliens. Aliens. That's the answer. Aliens.
So if you're an alien, just call 1-800.
No, they're upset with that Mexico reveal. They're like, this isn't how we wanted to come out.
I mean,
the F-35.
Also, I don't know. This came on my radar recently when there was a recent YouTube video that was talking about what they call broken arrows, which is like nuclear near misses of when they lose nukes. And like, there are still nukes that are just like somewhere at the bottom of the ocean.
There's one that's like 40 miles off the coast.
That's actually why they went to the Titanic. They were looking for nukes down there.
Yes. No, I think it was a submarine, but yeah, basically like that, and those are the ones we know about. How many nukes are there just like sitting? Is there but the thing I want to say is that I think the person who did this, who found it and isn't going to say anything, is the guy that in the 80s won the Harrier fighter jet from Pepsi and never got it.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
That's the guy. He like Karma. Yeah. Karma gave him the F-35.
Yeah, it's how he wins.
That's how you win the game.
I love the Twitterverse on this. Like, one of the hot takes that I saw that was awesome was like vaccine conspiracy theorists. So like, don't take the vaccine because they're going to microchip you and they're going to be able to track you at all times and where you're at. And people that think that, they truly don't know the United States government. Like, they just don't. Like, and the reality is we lost this plane, like an entire effing plane. So no, don't. I think you're giving the government way too much credit if you think they can track you with a chip in your arm. So
they can't even find an $80 million aircraft that's got more electronics on it than we all could imagine.
Yeah, there was some hilarious takes in our Discord. Someone was like, they should have put an air tag in there.
You know why they can't find it? Actually, I do know why. It's got stealth.
Oh, that's actually kind of funny.
But this also gets into like, okay, all the bombs and munitions have trackers. The plane itself has, IFF. There's a lot on that plane to track. And it goes back to Ian's, fail safe. Like, there's a lot of fail safes that failed here. Like, there has to have been.
Who released this report?
Or as Mike said, aliens.
Yeah.
They just
well,
sucked it
Six
into another dimension.
Tight Red, I think, called it here. This is how you get money for the F-36. They're like, oh, the 36.
Oh, yeah.
The F-36 will have tracking.
Anyway.
It'll have built-in air tags and
Air
tiles.
tags.
I was
And
thinking
files.
this is a
Speaking of-
canary, right? Like they said the
Yeah.
F-35. They're like, okay, Russian spies, go start looking for it, and then bam, they got them.
Yeah. They're just gonna pile them into a corner looking for something. I mean, what does it say? Honeypot?
Do we think there's like a Russian person right now, Russian spy, calling the hotline and being like, I think I have F-35. What does it look like? What's it?
That's
it
a
has-
Cessna, Yergay. Like, that's not an F-35.
So
I think I have F-35. What are complete mission capabilities of aircraft? Clarify.
speaking of
what is
aircraft,
flight ceiling for F-35?
did you guys also see the Airbus breach? I guess it was caused by pirated software, right?
Oh, you don't.
Dude, are they?
Yes.
Please
you
tell
gotta
me
be-
it's a Steeler log. They're definitely Fortnite V-Bucks hacks.
Oh my God, no! It is Redline Info Stealer Log. You nailed it.
Oh yeah, I
Oh my
called it.
God, look at
I called it. You know how many of those
Likely.
victims I've seen? Also, that's that's.
Yes.
But the question is it a corporate account, a corporate machine, or a user's machine? Because this is like every
corporate.
day.
It says
Corporate.
It says Airbus takes cybersecurity seriously and continuously.
So that means they don't even have EDR then, lol.
No, that means they're running McAfee.
Oh wow. You know what? You just won't let them die, will you?
Nope, I won't. I'm going to keep bringing them back to life. They're my zombie beating bag.
Yes. So I guess obviously this was.
I'm gonna show this to
Okay,
people
lie.
when they ask
Okay,
why I.
so the computer belonged to an employee of a Turkish Airlines,
There it
contained
is.
third-party
Ah,
login
okay,
credentials
There it is,
for
yeah.
Airbus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still,
This is a
the
really
pirate
common
software thing-
attack. Ask Corey about it right now.
Oh yeah, I do this.
Yeah.
Just so you know, we do this for our customers every week. I mean, it's not always this successful where we're posting about it and pretending like it's awesome, but this is a real vector. I have a blog post about it. It's called "Your Browser's Not a Safe Space." Yeah,
I would
that's
have
the
to
thing.
check this
They
one.
were attempting to download a pirated version of Microsoft.NET framework.
Oh yeah, yeah, we see it all the time.
A
That's
pirate
such a
version
that's
of
free,
pirate-
so that's really questionable.
I
but-
know.
A pirate?
This is, for the record, this is totally a card in backdoors and breaches. It's called bring your own exploited device. Like
Yes.
Yes.
this isn't new. It's been around a long time. Just letting you know. So,
I'm going to ask an ignorant question though, but an exploited .NET framework?
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it's
what it
it's a
says.
free.
I-
Yes, but you do realize this is what John and other people have talked about. Malvertising. You go Google .NET download.
Yeah.
The first result is probably not Microsoft. The first result is sponsored from
Yes,
Eco
yes. So
Hacks.
Who is
This could be
pirating
some-
the free download?
Hold on. This could be some
I'm gonna give
bad
you-
reporting.
I'm
though.
going to give you
Could
all
be
a
bad
story. Like, I love this story. This is one of my favorites. So gather round. SANS instructor stories that SANS doesn't want you to know. So years ago, we had a forensics class. I'm not going to say which forensics class it was. There was multiple forensics classes. And the instructor put together a VM for the class that had to do with analyzing malware, because that's what they were doing in the forensics class. And this particular instructor, when they were creating this virtual machine, they went to Google and they put in Firefox download. They clicked on the first link and it downloaded a version of Firefox that was backdoored with malware, right? So I remember I got called in on this because the students that were taking the class were like, you know, they elevated it to the management at the SANS Institute. So I get called in on this because I help with instructor dev and I'm on the hacking curriculum and things like that. And everybody's talking about all of this. They're like, oh my God, this instructor, they downloaded this pirated version of Firefox and they installed malware on this VM and they did this and they did that. And that's just unacceptable. And we need to have controls and this instructor needs to be reprimanded. And I'm on this meeting and I'm listening to all these people get completely bent out of shape over it. And I just called up the instructor because class was done at the evening. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, yeah, I screwed up. But what we did do is we made it an ad hoc lab. We're going through, we're debugging the Firefox, we're identifying where the malware is, how it got inserted in it, what are the callbacks, what are the C2 servers, and the students effing loved it. Like, it was like the highlight of the entire class. So yeah, this pirated software thing, like, absolutely is something that can happen to the best of us. So don't be too hard. on the Turkish airline company that downloaded a pirated version of that.
It could be just bad reporting though, because they said that was related to the path, but I don't know.
Don't know.
Who knows? It is kind of funny though.
I'll tell you what. I probably have that thing sitting on a hard drive somewhere. I'll go find it and I'll let you know.
More than likely, you have that copy.
I guarantee you,
guys,
it's in there.
Let's be honest. If BHIS could just backdoor a version of the .NET framework, it would save us so much time in creating malware for that customer.
Honestly, I've also thought about just doing targeted AdWords to the customer or to the client with, like you said, common executables that would be the top result, and your paid for advertisement, but it looks like the real one. You're kind of like, oh yeah, I just need to download whatever. You give examples.
By the way, I will totally pay for that all day. Just go.
It's on the list. Someone just has to actually do it. It's been on the to-do list.
Yeah.
I'm in a cranky but approving mood. Yeah. So put in that request.
Get your fishes in now before he gets into a cranky but denying mood.
Yeah.
Do we want to end with a skateboarding dog story?
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So go ahead and, Ryan, if you pull up what I put in the private chat there, this is pretty fun. So basically, and we'll see the link here in a minute. So Ryan, if you can make that full screen, I'll talk it through.
Oh my God!
Somebody used the smart summon feature on their Tesla because they were locked in an after-hours parking garage, and
which are the most annoying things on the planet, by the way.
Right, but because they were able to call their car to them, the gates could open
because they had motion sensors.
No, it looks like a physical thing on the floor that it has to drive over, but like one of those old gas station things.
Oh yeah, one of the little strips.
Yeah. So how many red team expenses are going to start going in for had to rent a Tesla from?
Had to rent a Tesla.
Can you imagine the write-up? It's like BHIS parked their Tesla in the after-hours parking and then used the summon feature to activate the request to exit sensor. Oh yeah, I can. Yeah. It's already in the report.
Yeah, that's happening.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Deviant's currently ordering a Tesla.
It's like the expenses for the gig was $50,000 for the gig and then another $50,000 for the Tesla.
You get to keep the Tesla though.
Imagine though, there's a part of me that kind of would hate to deliver. I mean, would love to deliver that report and also hate to deliver it. Like you go into some super secure skiff facility, you park your car in there, you leave, you go and you get a lift, and then you come back later and you're writing up the report, and they're like, "How did you defeat we've got tire puncture stuff, we've got gate guards, we've got all this stuff," and it's like, I had my Tesla drive out and get me, oh
yeah.
Okay.
As a good rule of thumb, if they can do it on TikTok in 15 minutes, it's not really APT level.
Yeah. So don't buy a Kia.
That's what groups want you.
Also, there is the risk that you the Tesla's just runs into the wall.
Yeah. Whoops, we had to get 3 Teslas to make it work.
Sorry, the first 2 got killed by remember those tire puncturing things you were talking about? Yeah, that was the first 2. And getting a tow truck was expensive.
Gotta get those run flats on there. That's
oh yeah. Yeah.
Just
installing metal wheels on the tires.
No. I thought that was amazing. I'm like, so that goes, I guess, in the red team tools kit now.
Required tooling, Tesla.
Yeah, just one.
I'm logging
you can bring it on the
Teslas that enter my garage now. License plates, tracking, and then if you're not a valid visitor.
I think ChatGPT is failing.
Wade, your audio is very confusing.
You can tell that Wade's fake at the moment. You can tell by the pixels.
It's your internet. I will say I like the idea though. Just require people to.
Although I haven't been on Twitter in a long time, I did just see something where someone was saying, "Has there ever been?"
It will never be.
Somebody said, "Has anyone ever seen an actual scenario where somebody piggybacked an attacker successfully breaching a company this way?"
Yes,
a piggyback.
That's the number one most successful
tailgating.
Elo Punk said, "Not a pen tester."
What? So, you mean a real threat actor?
A real attacker.
I mean,
how would we ever know?
Dude, they don't leave the ransomware region of Eastern Europe, so no.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So I get their point. All right. So what they're saying is that these advanced attackers aren't going to show up on site. Not that it's not a valid
too risky
avenue.
Yeah.
It's so risky to show up it's so risky to leave the ransomware district of Eastern Europe as it is. They're probably not going to show up to your building,
if you go to an extradition country. Now, if you're in a non-extradition country, you can get a really good pen test.
So
that's how it works, though.
Okay, so a couple of stories that I know of non-pen testers doing this are usually companies or just like some random person was in our building. One of them was a classified facility where the person got into the classified facility. And for those of you know, it's the classified facility with long, shiny white hallways with no markings on the doors. And the person got in there and couldn't get out. Because some of the classified facilities, they you can come in, but getting out requires you to go through security. There's like fire exemptions and things like that. They were stuck. They actually got in. Another one was not a classified facility. Another one was a hobo that was just walking around a building and like took a nap in one of the offices, and they had to call him in. So there's two that I know of. And then I'm trying to think if there was one where they actually stole anything doing that as well. It might have been an after hours one. I remember years ago there was a story where somebody broke into a building and they basically hung out until the place closed. And after everything closed, they stole a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. So when you say about stealing, that, I mean, that it does kind of remind me of like the Kia Boy challenge, right? You know how easy it is to like steal a Kia. Like you could make the same video. How easy it is to break into a corporate environment and steal all their laptops.
I was gonna say I know a company that I was working at. It happened before I got there. This was decades ago. But when laptops, like it was very fancy for people to have laptops, that's when laptop Kensington locks got put in this building because somebody went through, waited for everybody to go to lunch, tailgated in, and literally just grabbed one of the utility carts and went office to office to office and walked out with a bunch of laptops.
I mean, I think it's like, you know how the OSHA thing is like every OSHA rule is like made in blood or written in blood. It's the same thing with hacks. It's like every pen tester technique is like written in real hacks. Like no one really thought of media drops until the U.S. Army or whatever got hacked with media drops. And then everyone did media drops for a while. And then everyone's like, we epoxied over every USB port in our entire company. And then we're like, okay, we'll stop doing that now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's all like...
here's the thing. Here's the reason why. One, they can't leave the country. But two, it's working. The phone pretext is working still, right? They're still able to get into those big environments without having to go through the front door, right? But when they need to go to the front door, they're probably going to have payload mules that go in there, tailgate, steal badge, do whatever, and get it.
You're not going to believe how I can make $10,000 a month in my PJs by walking.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, we saw that with the Tesla Gigafactory when the Russian national that worked there was potentially recruited, and Tesla was very lucky in the fact that they took that to their internal HR and said, somebody just offered me $1 million to plug in this USB drive, and they got the FBI involved and whatnot. But that's exactly what happens is they have an intermediary recruit someone. It's old clandestine warfare.
It's the suitcase attack.
Yeah.
It's a suitcase full of money. Here's a bunch of money. Here's a USB stick. Go plug it in.
Do you think Tesla gave him a reward for not taking the $1 million?
Elon said he only had to work 70 hours that week.
Oh, yeah. We reduced your workload from 900 hours to 70 this week.
Yeah.
He gets Twitter blue.
Ultra hardcore Twitter 2.0.
Oh, if you're not hardcore, you need to leave.
That's right.
All right.
On that note.
I'm not hardcore. I'm going to leave.
Let's wrap it up. All right. Later, everybody.
Give us that beautiful finger footage.